live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Nigeria and Turkey signed several memoranda of understanding and bilateral agreements in Ankara as Turkey targets $5 billion trade volume with Nigeria. FCT High Court remands former project coordinator of the Northeast Development Commission, Danjuma Mohammed, and his associate, Chibuike HM, at the Suleja Correctional Center over alleged $2.2 billion contract scam. National Human Rights Commission represents its 2025 Human Rights Outlook, says a total of 3.7 million complaints of right violations were recorded. And the European Union and India announced a landmark trade deal after nearly 2 decades of on-off talks, as both sides aim to deepen ties amid tensions with the United States.
On business news, the federal government of Nigeria raises 1.54 trillion naira at its January 2026 bond auction, reflecting strong investor confidence in government securities despite high interest rates.
On sports news tonight, Arsenal aim to complete the league phase of the Champions League with a perfect record as the host Kairat Almaty on Wednesday night.
And from the nation's capital, the House of Representatives resumes plenary after recess, sets agenda for 2026 legislative year.
We begin tonight with a promise, as President Recep Tayyip Erdogan of the Republic of Turkey has promised to assist Nigeria in its fight against terrorism, given his country's history in tackling insurgency. And President Erdogan stated this at a joint press briefing with President Bola Tinubu in the course of the state visit of the Nigerian president. The Turkish president also reaffirmed his country's commitment to a $5 billion trade volume target with Nigeria. Both countries signed 9 bilateral agreements. Our State House correspondent Larry Lasisi reports.
President Bola Tinubu arriving for the official reception parade for his state visit to Turkey. He's welcomed by the host president and led to inspect a guard of honor. The two presidents then make their way into the presidential complex for bilateral talks. Next is the signing of MOUs and bilateral agreements, which is witnessed by both presidents in key sectors such as defense, trade, education, media, diplomacy, and social development.
Minister of Women Affairs, Imam Suleiman Ibrahim, will be exchanging memorandum of understanding on
effort at terrorism, discuss how we could defeat elements of destabilization, banditry, and horror. We will work together to achieve that.
Terrorist organizations emerging, particularly in Africa's Sahel region, unfortunately pose a threat to the peace of the entire continent. We stand by the friendly people of Nigeria in their fight against terrorism under the leadership of President Tinubu. In fact, today, we addressed opportunities for closer cooperation in the fields of military training and intelligence. we stated that we are ready to share our country's significant experience in the fight against terrorism.
According to the presidency, this visit aims to consolidate the long-standing cordial relations between the two countries and exploring new areas of cooperation and unlocking new opportunities for mutual growth. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
And to other stories now, the presidency has assured Nigerians that President Bola Tinubu is hale and hearty and that his state visit to Turkey is proceeding as scheduled. In a post on his verified X handle, the special advisor to the president on media and public communication, Mr. Sunday Dari, said that the president moved from the ceremonial reception straight into planned bilateral engagement with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and other top officials. Presidential aide Olusegun Dada, on his own verified X handle, also gave assurances concerning the president's well-being. He explains that the president missed his step very briefly and has continued his bilateral meetings with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The clarification follows a viral video showing the president momentarily stumbling and being assisted by individuals nearby. Meanwhile, the special advisor to the president on public policy communication, Mr. Daniel Bauer, has described the president's visit to Turkey as a meeting of shared interests. Speaking in Ankara, the capital of the Republic of Turkey, Mr. Bouala emphasized that the visit is not just another trip, but a strategic one that will be of benefit to both countries.
It's a strategic trip. First of all, it's an invitation by this government because, of course, you know, the president of Nigeria was a leader of ECOWAS. He's a person of influence in Africa. Nigeria also has a strong force in Africa, and with the exceptional breakthrough that we're having in all fields in Nigeria, in the economy, area of security, politics and all that. So the president showed up today for the state visit, and we're looking to the program probably starting from tomorrow. We'll look at those areas of possibilities that the two parties are going to explore, especially in the area of defense, security, in the area of economy. In fact, we have the ministers of the various fields that we intend to have bilateral talks on. They are also on this trip and ready to go. The president is a very influential leader that world leaders know. Of course, you must be aware of the relationship between Nigeria and the U.S. following the little problem we had before. That's because of the personality and the leadership that the president brings on board. So most of these leaders, especially we just, like you said, we finished with the United Arab Emirates and now with the government and the people of Turkey. Of course, you know, historically, they are good in the area of security. They also have the capacity to produce weapons that are key and critical to what we need. We also have areas where we've been of help to them. If you look at Turkey-Nigeria relationship over the years, you see investment by the Turkish people, Turkish government in Nigeria. You see also the value Nigerian people and the Nigerian government has over the years brought to the Republic of Turkey. And so this is a shared meeting for shared interests, and also a meeting that we're looking to, at the end of the day, we will give you information as to the deliverables of what will come out of it. But it is a meeting that the people of Turkey are expectant.
Justice Emmanuel Subilim of the National Industrial Court has ordered workers of the Federal Capital Territory to suspend the ongoing industrial action pending the determination of the originating summons. Justice Subilim made this order while ruling on an application filed by the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, seeking an order compelling the striking workers to return to work.
The National Industrial Court comes alive as members of the Joint Union Action Congress of the Federal Capital Territory Administration gather in the court for the ruling on the motion to stop the ongoing industrial action by the workers. The FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike, had approached the court to ask for the suspension of the industrial action by the workers. The ruling follows submission from the council to the minister and the workers. In his ruling, the trial judge, Justice Emmanuel Subilim, asked the workers to suspend the strike and return to work immediately, stating that once a trade dispute has been referred to the National Industrial Court, the workers are prohibited from participating in a strike. Justice Subilim said the claimants had established a compelling case that warranted the granting of the order for the workers to suspend the ongoing strike.
There is always a process of commencing strike. This one commenced, there was negotiation going on, and they went on strike, and court has told them to go back. Our plea to the union is that they should allow industrial harmony, they should go back to work, and give opportunity for mediation.
However, the workers are considering the ruling in their next line of action.
The one good thing is that the court has also mandated that we should commence. It's not as an advice that we should commence mediation in line with the law. Now that we are in court, we are going to do the formal application where the media will also be part of it, because they have been doing their best trying to reach out to the minister, but the minister refused to see them. And they went on strike, which is the only instrument a worker, an employee can use to express his grievances. And my lord said, since the matter is in court, matter cannot be in court, and you continue with the strike. Call off your strike, go back to work while we adjudicate on it.
We are law-abiding citizens, and because they have said return to work, we are returning to work, pending our next appearance in court. As of this morning, they've done a little bit of part because they forwarded to me. They have done a little bit of part of our payment, which is huge amount of money. So they have started. So maybe when we go for the reconciliation, we'll hear what they have to say. And yeah.
The court subsequently adjourned the case to March 25th for the hearing of the substantive case.
Justice Keziah Ogbonna of the Federal Capital Territory High Court has remanded the former project coordinator of the Northeast Development Commission, Mr. Danjuma Mohammed, and his associate Chibuike Echem at the Suleja Correctional Center over their alleged complicity in a 2.2 billion naira contract scam. Justice Ogbonna issued the remand order shortly after the arraignment by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on a 55 criminal count charge bordering on advance fee fraud, forgery, and award of contract. Our correspondent Emanuela Ekele reports.
The former national coordinator of the multi-sectoral crisis recovery project, Northeast Development Commission, Mr. Danjuma Mohammed, and his associates, Chibuike Echem, arrived at the Federal Capital Territory High Court for their arraignment by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for allegedly defrauding an associate, Mr. Kenneth Ifekudu, to the tune of 2.2 billion naira. The EFCC arraigned them on a 55-count charge. Mr. Ifekudu was said to have been made to part with the sum through a coordinated advance fee fraud. In one of the counts, they were said to have obtained a sum of 649.5 million naira from the victim using the bank account of Mr. Echem under the claim that they have the capacity to award contracts for the multi-sectoral crisis projects of the Northeast Development Commission to his company. They were also accused of collecting another 573 million naira from the same contractor through a bank account belonging to Mr. Echem on the same ground. However, the defendants pleaded not guilty to other charges read to them by the judge, prompting the EFCC lawyer to plead for a date for commencement of trial. He informed the court that he had assembled 7 witnesses to testify against the defendant for the commission to establish the allegations. Counsel to the defendants tried to argue the bail application. While opposing the bail request, counsel to the EFCC told the judge that the commission was served with the bail application in the evening of January 26 and that he only saw it in the courtroom on January 27. He insisted that the bail application was not ripe for hearing because he needed to file a counter affidavit to legally object to the request. In a brief ruling, Justice Ogoni agreed with the EFCC's counsel that the application was not ripe for hearing, adding that allowing it to be argued would amount to denial of fair hearing on the part of the prosecution.
It was a very lengthy proceedings because of the nature and number of charges preferred against the defendants.
The prosecution had expressed the fact that they wanted to react to our application for bail, which is within their rights, and the court agreed with them, suggesting that having just been served yesterday, they were within time to file a counter affidavit in reaction for our bail. But of note is the fact that we have confidence in this court in the just dispensation of the trial of the defendants, and so once we receive the reaction of the prosecution counsel, we will take active steps to inform my lord and then get an earlier date to take the application for bail.
Justice Keziah Ogbonna subsequently fixed March 25 to April 7th for trial. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, National Human Rights Commission presents its 2025 Human Rights Outlook, says a total of 3.7 million complaints of right violations were recorded. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Nigeria and Turkey signed several memoranda of understanding and bilateral agreements in Ankara as Turkey targets $5 billion trade volume with Nigeria. FCT High Court remands former project coordinator of the Northeast Development Commission, Danjuma Mohammed, and his associate, Chibuike Echem, at the Suleja Correctional Center over alleged 2.2 billion naira contract scam. The National Human Rights Commission presents its 2025 Human Rights Outlook, says a total of 3.7 million complaints of right violations were recorded. And the European Union and India announced a landmark trade deal after nearly 2 decades of on and off talks, as both sides aim to deepen ties amid tensions with the United States. President Bola Tinubu has asked the Senate to approve a series of judicial reforms aimed at increasing the number of judges across key courts in Nigeria. In a letter read by the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, at the resumption of plenary, President Tinubu requested an amendment of the Court of Appeal Act to raise the number of justices from 70 to 110. He also transmitted an amendment bill seeking to review the Federal High Court Act to increase the number of judges from 70 to 90. Our National Assembly correspondent Gloria Umezuke reports.
It's the first day of plenary after lawmakers embark on 35 days of recess for the Christmas and New Year holidays. Upon resumption, several correspondences from President Bola Tinubu seeking judicial reforms were read.
Court of Appeal Amendment Bill 2026. The bill seeks to increase the number of justices of the Court of Appeal, including the President of the Court, from 70 to 110. The bill seeks to restructure provisions relating to the composition, precedence, and ranking of justices of the Court of Appeal, including the ranking of the President of the Court and the determination of the seniority among justices. I'm pleased to transmit to the Senate for consideration and passage into law the attached Federal High Court Amendment Bill 2025. The bill seeks the amendment of the Federal High Court Act to increase the statutory number of justices of the Federal High Court from 70 to 90 to ration, enhance the speed and quality of adjudication in technically demanding areas such as terrorism, financial crimes, taxation, intellectual property, maritime law, and election-related litigations.
President Tinubu is also requesting the confirmation of Justice Oyewole Kayode as a Justice of the Supreme Court and an amendment to 24 health sector bills. In his opening address, the Senate President, who highlights that the 10th Assembly has entered its final stretch of its legislative journey, calls for a conscience-driven politics ahead of the forthcoming elections.
As the political season gradually approaches, we call on all political parties and actors to be guided by conscience, civility, and patriotism. We must hit the ground running. The budget calls for decisive action, rigorous scrutiny, responsible passage, and faithful implementation. Our work ahead requires sustained collaboration with all stakeholders.
Now, minutes after urging lawmakers to finish strong in the remaining 1 year and 5 months of the 10th Assembly, the Senate observed a minute of silence in honor of late Senator Godiya Akwashike and, in line with tradition, adjourned plenary prematurely to the next legislative day. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The National Human Rights Commission says it has recorded a total of 3.7 million complaints of human rights violations ranging from unlawful arrests, killings, abductions, sexual violence and child abandonment in the year 2025. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Mr. Anthony Ojukwu, disclosed this during the December 2025 Human Rights Dashboard and Observatory and Human Rights Outlook for the year 2026. Our correspondent Victoria Longjon reports.
Nigeria's foremost rights watchdog, the National Human Rights Commission, is unveiling its December 2025 Human Rights Dashboard and Observatory and Nigeria's Human Rights Outlook for 2026.
In this country,
the December Observatory revealed that insecurity, poverty and weak governance deficits continue to intersect with human rights outcomes across different states.
From the January to December 2025 dashboard, we have learned that human rights violations are deeply linked to systemic issues, including inequality, unemployment, weak institutions, and limited access to justice. We have also learned that early warning signs are visible in the data, as the dashboard is not merely a reporting tool, it is a prevention mechanism as well. One thing that has also been highlighted is that collaboration remains essential.
Latest data for the month of December reveals a total number of 342,604 complaints were received, a decrease of 20% for November. The North Central recorded the highest number of complaints with 143,402 cases, while the Southwest recorded the least human rights complaints with 13,009 cases. Benue State topped the charts with the highest number of complaints in December, with sexual and gender-based violence recorded as the highest on violation of women's rights. There was also a surge in cases of child abandonment in December, with 670 cases. 390 cases of kidnappings were recorded and 246 cases of killings. Bandits were identified as the highest perpetrators of killings in December.
The traditional
Looking into 2026, the Commission plans to propose early warning strategies and makes a case for the approval of the National Policy on Protection of Civilians in Conflict.
For the upteenth time, we are almost begging. Let us approve the national policy on the protection of civilians. That is an enablement, not just for policy, but also for institutional response. Again, the national policy for the protection of civilians in conflict is a national mechanism through which the government at all levels would commit to civilian protection. Whoever in conflict, and you can be rest assured that conflict is almost in 2/3 of Nigeria in one form or the other.
The Commission insists that sustained commitment beyond policy pronouncements remains vital across Nigeria. From Abuja, Victoria Longjon, Channels Television News.
We'll continue the news at 10 in the nation's capital, Abuja, where Millicent Walker is standing by to bring us more. Over to you, Millicent.
Many thanks, Anne. And we continue in the National Assembly. This time, the House of Representatives, who have been urged to hit the ground running in the new legislation. This charge was given by the Deputy Speaker of the House, Mr. Benjamin Kalu, who emphasized that lawmakers must prioritize key national assignments, including the tax reform laws, the ongoing constitution review process, and the consideration of the 2026 budget. Our correspondent, Benny Ark, has more. Our correspondent, Benny Ark, has more.
The House of Representatives resumed plenary session after 5 weeks of recess. The representatives resumed plenary session after 5 weeks of recess. However, only a handful of lawmakers are present in the chamber, with the Deputy Speaker of the House, Mr. Benjamin Kalu, presiding. In his welcome address, the Deputy Speaker urged members to approach the legislative year with renewed zeal, discipline, and dedication to parliamentary responsibilities, stressing the need for effective and people-centered representation.
We're expecting that the mandate that has been given to us by the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will be best executed this year. With much diligence, spirit of excellence, and dedication.
He also outlined several critical matters awaiting legislative action in the new year, including the consideration of the tax reform laws, the ongoing constitution review process, and the 2026 budget, which he described as central to governance and national development. The House then held a valedictory session to honor federal lawmakers that passed away.
By the souls of the departed, rest in perfect peace.
The House then adjourns plenary in line with parliamentary tradition. The lawmakers are expected to return to full legislative business on Wednesday, January 27, with a heavy agenda aimed at delivering key reforms and effective representation for Nigerians. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Away from the Green Chambers, the All Progressives Congress has elected 2 individuals to contest and fill the vacant seats for Ahoda East Constituency 2 and Kana Constituency 2 in Rivers State. Henrietta Lolo, the widow of the late lawmaker from Kana 2 constituency, was declared the winner of the primaries, polling 3,020 votes, while Napoleon Ukalipe emerged as candidate from Ahoda East Constituency 2. Our correspondent Charles Oporum brings us the latest.
The APC in Rivers State has conducted primary elections to fill the vacant Ahoda East 2 and Kana 2 seats in the State House of Assembly.
After receiving all the results from each of the 8 wards.
In Kana, the chairman of the APC Electoral Committee declares Henrietta Lulu, the widow of the former lawmaker, as the winner.
By the power conferred on me by the National Working Committee of our great party APC, as chairman of Kana 2 State Constituency Primary Election Committee for the by-election, I, Ayola Peter Olajolo, hereby declared Lolo, Mrs. Lolo, okay, Mrs. Bulu Barry Erienta as the winner of this election.
I am very grateful. I want to say a very big thank you to the electorate, to the leadership of the party, to everyone who put their confidence in me. And I want to say that I am very happy, and I promise not to let you down.
While in Ahoda East Constituency 2, Mr. Napoleon Okalikwe is declared winner with 30 votes.
I, Engineer Omar Shehu Denge, hereby certify that Okalip Napoleon N, having scored the highest number of votes cast, is hereby declared winner. Congratulations.
Today is not a very much speech making. The only thing I can say, I would have East Constituency 2, I would have East local government, River States, I will give you effective representation.
The APC primaries are being held following the death of Honorable Lulu and the resignation of Edison Ehie, who became the governor's chief of staff. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10. Despite high interest rates, federal government of Nigeria raises 1.54 trillion naira at its January 2026 bond auction, reflecting strong investor confidence in government securities. That's coming up in Business News. To join us again. You're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Abuja studios. Now to some company news. ADMI, a Nigerian condiment brand, officially kicked off its consumer awareness drive at Ikotu Market, Lagos, attracting traders, customers and distributors for a day of celebration, brand interaction and exciting rewards. Themed Let's Live 2026 Stress-Free with ADMI, the event encourages Nigerian families to cook smarter, save time, let go of stress, embrace a lighter, more joyful way of living.
Ikotu Market, one of the busiest markets here in Lagos, is playing host to a cheerful New Year celebration. ADMI, a Nigerian condiments brand, is starting the year with exciting rewards for loyal customers, traders, distributors, and consumers. The release of 20,000 balloons into the air signals the launch of the brand's awareness campaign, tag Let's Live 2026 Stress-Free with ADMI.
We do not compromise on taste, quality over quantity. So I can say that this is for the safety and to make your food very, very delicious. The main function of ADMI is to bring, time consumption, to bring relief, to, make the stress-free life of every woman or every man who are at home working and cooking food for their family.
Let's go! Let's go! The event features music, delicious meals prepared using ADMI seasonings, and a raffle draw giving participants the opportunity to win cash prizes, with the overall winner taking home 1 million naira.
I have waited patiently. Congratulations!
I'm very happy. I'm the latest millionaire now. I even greet myself, congratulations to me. I'm happy, I'm excited, I'm okay. ADMI is very good because it's different from other spices. If you use ADMI, you will see extra, like veggies inside. You can use it for noodles, jollof rice, or also fried rice. ADMI is very okay.
ADMI offers a diverse range of spices and seasoning blends that boost flavor, combining protein, vegetables and seasonings in a single sachet, offering convenience and nutrition for everyday meals.
My experience with ADMI, the first time I used ADMI, I was so happy because I used the one that you can use for noodles, and I can see many different things there. I take carrots, chicken, green pea and corn, even sweet corn. So, and it's very stress-free.
As ADMI continues spreading joy in 2026, the brand is encouraging customers to keep choosing its products and enjoy a stress-free year.
Indeed, let's try to live stress-free in 2026. And I'm sure you agree. It's back to you.
I do agree, Millicent. Thank you. And back here in Lagos, the Nigerian Bulk Electricity Trading PLC today announced the close of the first tranche under the 4 trillion naira power sector multi-instrument issuance program with a signing ceremony right here in Lagos. Speaking at that ceremony, the acting managing director of NBET, Mr. Johnson Akianwo, says that the federal government's intervention will significantly improve liquidity across the electricity value chain. It would also enable operators to stabilize their operations and support renewed investment in Nigeria's power sector.
Ahead of settling the 4 trillion naira legacy debt owed the power generation companies in Nigeria, these personalities, the DG DMO, the Presidential Advisor on Energy, the Acting Managing Director of Nigeria Bulk Electricity Trading and his board chairman, the Director General, Bureau of Public Enterprise, the Chairman, Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, members of the investment banking community and more are here to sign the inaugural bond issue of 501 billion naira.
As we sign this instrument, we are not merely raising capital. We are unlocking the next chapter of stability, liquidity, and investment into the power sector. One that strengthens market disciplines while enabling growth across generation and the other segments of the electricity value chain.
Rather than going through the route of budgetary allocations, the federal government has made a detour by structuring the financial instrument through the domestic capital market, and here is more to that.
This program was not conceived as a bailout. It is a balance sheet reset. Its purpose is very straightforward: to clear verified legacy obligations, restore liquidity, and reestablish the conditions under which operators can plan, operate, and invest on commercial terms.
The DG Debt Management Office, speaking on the behalf of the Coordinating Minister and Minister of Finance, also lent her voice to the 7-year bond that is fully guaranteed by the credit of the federal government.
I'm pleased that NBET Finance Company PLC has now successfully issued 300 billion naira Series 1 Tranche A cash bonds and secured approval for the allotment of 201.021 billion Series 1 Tranche B non-cash bonds to participating generation companies.
14 generation companies have already executed full and final settlement agreements.
This is a proof of concept that we can actually solve a lot of our infrastructure problems through capital from the markets.
This crowd-in investment is set to unlock the next chapter of stability and liquidity of the electricity market in Nigeria. Odo Phillips, Channels Television News.
The hydrocarbon pollution remediation project HYPREP has commenced another round of human capacity development with 100 Ogoni youths beginning training in mechatronics. The initiative is part of efforts to equip beneficiaries with high-demand skills for sustainable livelihoods, and the 4-month program is designed to move beneficiaries from low-end to high-end technical skills in line with HYPREP's mandate under the Ogoni Cleaner program. Our correspondent Deborah Miefibrasima reports.
Inside the Offshore Technology Institute of the University of Port Harcourt, 100 Ogoni youths begin a new journey, training in mechatronics, a skill increasingly in demand across modern industries. The program, organized by the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project HYPREP, is part of a sustainable livelihood initiative aimed at preparing youths and women in Ogoni for emerging opportunities in the digital and industry space. HYPREP says the choice of the University of Port Harcourt's Offshore Technology Institute and the training consultants was guided by the need to blend academic excellence with industry experience, urging beneficiaries to take the opportunity seriously.
We are at the stage now where the whole world is moving towards innovation, technology, digital profiling, and most important, leadership. We made this promise some years ago. It's been long in coming, but it's finally here. And as an organization, we didn't want to just do half-beat measures. We are dedicated to giving our people, the Ogoni people, the very best we can.
The Vice Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt, Professor Onari Georgewell, describes the program as timely, noting that the skills being acquired are globally relevant and economically viable.
Please permit me to commend the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but his continued support has made HYPREP to be working. I believe that this initiative is aimed at building technical capacity in mechatronics engineering among the youths of Ogoni. This 6-day theoretical and practical training program is a strategic investment in your future and in the sustainable development of Ogoni land.
Outside. The training consultant Competent Samco Technical Nigeria Limited explains that the 4 months program will combine classroom instructions with hands-on practical sessions, while also exposing trainees to safety standards, ethics, and modern engineering practices. Traditional rulers and industry partners present at the event also emphasized the importance of commitment, describing the skill as one capable of opening doors to global opportunities.
You put a right man in a right place and he can turn the thing around, you would barely recognize what was there before. So I see this training as an opportunity being supported by Renaissance for you to unleash your creativity, to unleash your ability. Put it with all your heart.
The 100 beneficiaries were selected through a computer-based test conducted in February 2023. HYPREP says similar high-demand skill trainings, including full-stack development, cybersecurity, GIS, and commercial diving, will be rolled out later in the year. Deborah Mia Feberesima, Channels Television News.
And let's now join Dominic Iwewo to bring us stories from the world of business.
Thank you, Anne. And on business news, the federal government of Nigeria allotted a total of 1.54 trillion naira at its January 2026 bond auction, demonstrating sustained investor confidence in government securities despite high interest rate environment. The auction featured the reopening of the 3 existing bond instruments with total allotments significantly exceeding the amount initially offered. The DMO had put a combined 900 billion naira on offer across the 3 bonds, but investor appetite pushed total allotments well above that level, reflecting continued confidence in federal government of Nigeria's securities and the attractiveness of prevailing yields. Settlements for all successful bids is scheduled for January 28, 2026. Now, India and the European Union have closed what Prime Minister Narendra Modi describes as a landmark free trade agreement aimed at boosting trade and economic cooperation between both sides. The deal, coming after 2 decades of talks, links markets covering nearly 2 billion people and around a quarter of global GDP, coming at a time when global trade is under pressure from rising tariffs and geopolitical tensions. The EU is already India's largest trading partner, with goods trade topping 120 billion euros last year, and the agreement is expected to support And the domestic equities market closes positive on the second day of the trading week. Willie Bong tells us more.
Welcome to the stock market report. It's a pretty upbeat mode at the NGX today, coming from positive intraday numbers. The all-share index edged up 0.12% at the close of the bell. Remember, it closed flat on Monday, albeit in green territory. It is, however, still in the 165,000 level, not far up now from regaining that 166,000. Market cap, on the other hand, has regained 106 trillion naira today. What are the stocks behind these numbers? Let's take a look at the sectors we track. Eternal coming up strong, and also buy interest in Japan Gold drove the oil and gas counter to close in the green, 0.02% up. Now, investors seem to be paying a lot of attention to consumer goods. We're seeing buy interest in Cadbury stock, which gained 2 naira 30 kobo today, and international breweries also performing positively well, 0.46% for that counter. The outlier today, however, is the banking index. We see that down 0.11%, and this is despite buy interest in Access and GTCO, which led top trades today. We can have that very quickly. We see Access, Ori, and GTCO topping trades today. The NGX is definitely picking up the slack from Monday's so-so performance. Let's see if they can keep it up. Will Ibang signing out.
Thank you, Will. Let's see the snapshot performance for other major equities. And that's it on business news. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. Let's now join Simon Fuse with more international news and around the world in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The European Union and India have announced a landmark trade deal after nearly 2 decades of on-off talks as both sides aim to deepen ties amid tensions with the US. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi called the pact historic. It will allow free trade of goods between the bloc of 27 European states and the world's most populous country, which together make up nearly 25% of global gross domestic product and a market of 2 billion people. The deal will see a number of huge tariff cuts across a range of goods and services and a joint security partnership. Von der Leyen and the European Council President are in Delhi, where they met Modi at a bilateral summit.
People around the world are calling it the mother of all deals. This agreement brings huge opportunities for India's 1.4 billion people and for millions of people across European countries.
A top U.S. immigration official is expected to leave the U.S. city of Minneapolis in what may mark a shift in the White House's tone after the fatal shooting of a second U.S. citizen by federal officers over the weekend. As Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino and some immigration agents leave, President Donald Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, will begin leading the on-ground efforts in the city after the fatal shooting of Alex Preti on Saturday escalated tensions. Trump's decision may indicate the administration's interest in walking back more aggressive federal action in his nationwide immigrant crackdown. Despite the announcement, online tracking shows immigration raids have continued. Sweden is moving forward with plans to lower the age of criminal responsibility from 15 to 13 in serious cases as it grapples with a growing number of children recruited into gangs to carry out violent crimes without facing serious legal repercussions. The Justice Minister said the country was in an emergency situation and stopping the use of children in criminal networks was a crucial task for the government. But several authorities, including police, prison officials and prosecutors, have opposed the plan, with some worried that it may lead to even younger children becoming offenders. If passed, the legislation will go into force as early as this summer. French President Emmanuel Macron has invited his Chadian counterpart to Paris as both countries seek to renew and improve future relations. The verbal invitation was delivered to President Mahamat Deby by France's ambassador to Chad, Eric Gerard, during a meeting at the presidential palace. It follows a sharp downturn in Franco-Chadian military relations after Chad abruptly ended its defense agreement with France in November 2024. This triggered the withdrawal of French forces from military bases across the nation, which continues to grapple with serious security challenges. Several people have died in a winter storm that hit a wide swathe of the US, causing thousands of flights to be cancelled or delayed due to severe conditions. The storm, which caused chaos from Texas to the tip of Maine over the weekend, snarled roadways, knocked out power and buried major cities under a thick blanket of snow. Some areas in the northeast saw more than 20 inches of snow during a 24-hour period. Canadian officials also said the storm had seriously disrupted southern Ontario. Firefighters in the Australian state of Victoria are battling at least 6 major fires as a record-breaking heatwave hits the country's southeast. 2 fires are currently burning at emergency level, according to local broadcasters. Several communities have been issued emergency warnings to either evacuate, watch and wait, or shelter in place. Fire officials warn that the situation is changing rapidly and have asked locals to stay up to date with the latest warnings. The Bureau of Meteorology says that parts of the state have seen all-time temperature highs, with one hitting a high of 48.9 degrees Celsius.
The warmer weather and the inversion broke. Some gusty winds came down onto that fireground today, and that fireground has spotted outside of its original containment lines. That fire will run, it will develop a plume, it will pick up really significant energy, and we will see erratic and extreme fire behaviour.
And a 2.5-mile section of cliff has collapsed on the Italian island of Sicily after it was pummeled by wind and rain brought by Storm Harry last week. More than 1,000 residents have been evacuated from their homes, and geological surveys are currently underway to assess the area. There have been no reports of deaths or injuries, but aerial footage shows numerous buildings and vehicles have been destroyed. The landslide occurred on Sunday, with parts of the cliff continuing to crumble on Monday, according to local media.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Many thanks, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. 5 games will be decided in March Day 23 of the Nigeria Premier Football League, scheduled for Wednesday. Relegation strollers Kano Pillars will host Katsina United at the Sani Abacha Stadium in Kano. Third place, Abia Warriors will be at home against visiting Wiki Tourists of Bauchi at the New Jos Stadium. Plateau United will be up against Rangers International. Bayelsa United will take on Niger Tornadoes in Yenagoa, while Nasarawa United will be hoping to displace league leaders Rivers United when they face the NPFL most successful team, Eyimba International, in Lafia. Mikel Arteta is promising that Arsenal would play with courage and conviction for the rest of the season after their surprise defeats by Manchester United slowed their Premier League title charge. The Gunners host Kazakhstan's Kiryat Almaty in the Champions League on Wednesday, aiming to complete the tournament's league phase with a perfect record. The Gunners, who have seen 7 wins out of 7 in Europe this season, have already secured a place in the last 16, meaning they avoid a potentially tricky playoff next month. I am Kelly.
Several memoranda of understanding and bilateral agreements in Ankara, as President Tayyip Erdogan said his country is targeting $5 billion trade volume with Nigeria. The FCT High Court has remanded former project coordinator of the Northeast Development Commission, Danjuma Mohammed, and his associate, Chibuike Echem, at the Suleja Correctional Center over alleged 2.2 billion naira contract scam. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Wawadu. Good night.